are you familiar with the layered stress model?
Yes, but go ahead and refresh me a little bit on it.
Picturing a volcano. So the layered stress model, this is what I was doing when I started trying to create a life for my Great Pyrenees that would allow him to be fulfilled and not, I didn't want a 140-pound dog that can kill everybody in the room in 10 seconds.
Sure.
To be walking around half insane. Well, I came across this layered stress model. So what it purports is that, let's say your wife comes home from work and you've been cooking a meatloaf for her for dinner, and you sit down to eat, and she cuts into her meatloaf, and it's a little bit undercooked, just a little bit. And she immediately screams, and she throws the meatloaf across the room.
Okay.
You're not going to say, we need to counter condition this woman.
Sure.
So we're going to show her uncooked meatloaf or undercooked meatloaf and give her bowls of ice cream.
Sure. Yeah.
Or we're going to desensitize her. So we're going to show her meatloaf that's just a little bit undercooked and then a little bit more undercooked.
Sure.
No, we wouldn't do that. We'd ask her, honey, what the hell is up? What happened today?
Yeah.
Did your boss fire you? Did you get somebody die? Why are you crazy? Yeah. So why do we not do that with dogs? Well, this layered stress model basically says that there's certain things a dog needs to not be totally stressed out. Let's say that your dog is reactive walking on the leash when it sees another dog walk by. That's the most common thing, right?
Sure.
So let's say that strange dog walking by is worth 10 points of stress. Mm-hmm. And if you look at the layered stress model diagram, it's like a volcano blowing its stack when it gets to 100 points. So if your dog is walking around with 95 points of stress all the time because of all the needs are not being met,
yeah,
it's not going to take much to put him over that 100-point threshold.
Yeah.
And so when he sees that strange dog, even though it's only 10 points of stress, that's going to put him over 100. He's going to blow its stack and freak out. So you look at 5 things, basically. The foundation of it is health.
Sure.
Most of our dogs in America are not healthy.
Yep.
We feed them kibble. You guys ever seen a documentary called Pet Food?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
If somebody watches that documentary, they'll never walk into a big chain store and look at dog food the same way again.
Sure.
It's amazing. But even worse than that, we neuter them, we spay them, so they've lost a big part of their endocrine system to begin with. And then from there, we probably don't give them enough exercise and so forth. So if a dog's not healthy or anybody's not healthy, if you and I are not healthy, we're not going to be very well behaved if we're feeling bad all the time.
Yep. You're not.
It's hard to be in a good mood when you're just, it causes stress. Being unhealthy causes stress. And then the second thing would be the biological life that the dog is living. If he's a German Shepherd, does he have a job? Is he, getting that working, instinct satisfied? Yeah. Or if he's a Great Pyrenees, is he, outside surveying the landscape all the time?
Yeah.
That's what makes my dog happy. Just sitting out in the yard watching over the neighbor. He loves that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Whatever things you can do to people don't walk their dogs. This is a huge thing that drives me crazy, is that they think the backyard is fine. I always say the backyard is a dungeon.
Yeah.
It's the same old smells. You're probably letting him, you might go out there and play with him once in a while, but most of the time he's probably out there by himself.
Yeah.
That's not what dogs were meant to do. Dogs were meant to walk with their pack.
Yeah.
And they're meant to follow. Basically, most dogs are not dominant leader type dogs. They're meant to follow somebody. So that's why, people that walk their dogs have very well-behaved dogs. And I don't mean, people say, I walk my dog 3 times a day. How long do you walk him? 10 minutes. That's not a walk. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, 10 minutes is like a pee break.
Yep.
It takes about 30 minutes for you and the dog to even, both of you, and it's addictive because when you get good at it, like I'm in a bad mood if I don't get to walk my dog at least an hour.
Sure.
Every day. Right? That's my favorite hour of the day because I'm just with my dog. I'm not on my phone. I'm just chilling out and I'm communicating with my dog without saying a word. We don't talk. We just communicate because dogs don't speak English. and it's so relaxing, it's addictive, But so yeah, that's the second layer of the layered stress model, is the lifestyle of your dog. Are you giving any of its lifestyle needs being met?
Yep.
And then the third thing would be, what is the third thing? I'm drawing a blank. Oh, the most important thing, probably clarity. How many dogs in America are stressed out because their owner's yelling at them all the time, and the dog has no idea what the owner's talking about?
Yep.
And the owner's talking to him all the time, so the dog is like, is he just babbling again, or is that a command? What am I supposed to do?
Yep.
There's no clarity. There's no communication. The people don't learn how to speak dog, and they don't understand the dog doesn't speak English.
Yep.
So that, of course, stresses you out, because we all like to have clarity. Try taking your wife or your girlfriend to a party and not telling her what kind of a party it is, how everybody else is going to be dressed, what is she supposed to bring. Because, hey, we're just going to a party. I don't know anything about it.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She's going to be stressed. She's going to be like, well, how do I dress? I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
She's not going to like it. Dogs are the same way. So they need clarity. They need that communication.
Yeah.
And then the fourth thing is the leash. Teaching the dog the leash, because there's nothing more unnatural to ask a dog to do than to walk on a leash.
Yep.
They walk at 5 miles an hour. We walk at 2 miles an hour.
Yep.
Their social bubble's about 100 yards, and ours is about 100 inches.
Yep.
If somebody's more than 5 feet away from you, you don't even really try to talk to them. They're too far away, right?
Mm-hmm.
Dog doesn't look back to see if you're still there until he's about 200 or 300 feet away.
Yep.
So, if you teach the dog and yourself to master the leash, and if your dog gets excited and is happy when he sees the leash come off the wall, that's going to lower his stress. And then the fifth thing is the actual trigger. So if you do these four things, if you do all of them, not expect anybody to do any of them perfectly, but if you do them a little bit better, and your dog, instead of being at 95 points of stress, is only at 60 points of stress, then when he sees that strange dog and it's worth 10 points, he's only up to 70, he doesn't even do anything. He just walks on by, doesn't react.
Well, I think, like you were just saying, it's not that you have to perfect every single one of them. I mean, that's, with the world we live in, the lives we live, stuff like that, it's going to be very, very challenging to do. But being mindful of those four things and looking at, like, all right, well, which one of these can I put a little bit of emphasis into over the next month, over the next 2 months, right? Like health, for example. Obviously, you brought up a lot of examples relating to the diets that we're feeding them and all that kind of stuff, which are very important, But one of the ones that I always tell people is just, when I see dogs that come in that are overweight, free-fed, right, constantly gorging themselves with food, stuff like that, I always equate it to, like, if you overeat and, eat McDonald's and stuff like that every single day of your life for the next 3 weeks, like, you're going to feel awful. Your body's not designed to work optimally, when you're constantly full, right? I always think that there's a degree of, you should be a little bit hungry at all times, right? Your body should be kind of in this mode where you're, if you get back to the biological fulfillment of things, they're hunting, in this mindset of, I need to work and hunt to try to find my next meal, stuff like that. And just getting your feeding schedule under control with your dog. There's so many dogs I've seen that have like anxiety issues and stuff, that you get them on a good feeding routine. You don't forget switching the food and all of that. Just feeding them an appropriate amount of food, putting them on a diet, that alone, you notice such a freaking massive change in their behavior. Like dogs that are 4 years old that act like they're 10 years old suddenly become like puppies again. They have all this energy and they want to romp around and play and just be dogs, right? That's such a big one. The biological fulfillment side of things, super, super, super important. Obviously, so many people are getting dogs that they just think look cool, like say a German Shepherd or, a Pyrenees or whatever it may be. And they have no idea what those dogs are designed to do. And then they live in a box for their entire life, which is, their house. And, you mentioned the walk, right? The walk is important, but arguably the way people walk their dogs, not even from a standpoint of the training or the healing or anything, but just, they do their lap around the neighborhood and then they go back home, whether it's an hour, whether it's 10 minutes, your dog is still trapped within the confines of just that neighborhood. Like, I think past just going for long walks, I think dogs are designed to explore and see new places. And, one thing I always try to do with
take
my
them
dogs,
with you.
Yeah.
They're pack animals. They want to go with you.
Yeah. And that's twofold, right? One, it's biologically fulfilling them. It's mentally fulfilling them because they're experiencing new things. And two, you're eliminating this like novelty of anywhere outside of the house in the neighborhood is just so new, and I don't know how to handle myself in that situation, right? Where the more places you take them, even if it's once a month you go to a new park or a new neighborhood or something like that to walk around, the novelty of that wears off, and they're not going to be so overstimulated when you take them into those environments.